The fact of that it was not an Igbo coup in 1966, I think that's a fact that everyone knew. All that happened was that people who wanted to look for an opportunity to deride the Igbo nation, to find fault with the Igbo nation, simply turned everything around. And the story has always been there. Why would you insist that that same judge continue to try someone? So Nnamdi Kanu was right to say, no, you cannot do this. If a judge has said, no, I will not do it, give it to somebody else. It is the Federal High Court with more than 100 judges. You can try it anywhere. You can also come back to the Southeast where you claim that the matter originated from. Because it was supposed to be originated from Umuahia. I'm just saying, for the sake of the people of the Southeast, I will use this occasion of my birthday to also continue the appeal for Nnamdi Kanu to be released. And I've said it severally, and I will use the opportunity to tell ndị Igbo, onye ajụrụ ajụ na-ajụ onwe ya. And we must continue to have this at the back of our mind.
Hello everyone and welcome back. So my people, yesterday was Senator Abaribe's 70 years birthday celebration. Yes, it was massive. And before that celebration, he granted an interview where he talks about what IBB reviewed in his new book, especially what he said that 1966 coup not being Igbo coup, and as well as Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's matter. He used that opportunity to tell Nigeria government to let Mazen Nnamdi Kanu go because enough is enough. And also what he said concerning Ndi Igbo, that it is time for Ndi Igbo to come together and build Ala Igbo. That this time of crying and begging and complaining is over because these people cannot listen to us because they know very well what they are doing to Ndi Igbo. That this is time for Ndi Igbo to come together and build Ala Igbo, which I quite agree with him. But before I allow you guys to watch the full video, let's use this opportunity to wish His Excellency Senator Sen Abaribe a very happy birthday. Many more years to you, sir, with a lot of love, happiness, good health, and sound mind. God bless your new age, sir. So my people, let's go ahead and listen and hear what he said in this particular interview.
Thank you. I will refer you to a video that was done. Just to answer your last question, I will refer you to a video that was done by Pat Tommy. He said, at 70, you're just beginning. That's how he said. And he says, as an academic, yes, at 70, you will retire, but it's not time for you to retire because where you are, which is in politics, that you're just beginning. Well, let me say that it's very salutary that those who are in the midst of affairs that happen in Nigeria will one day tell their story. So I think Babangida has told his story, and out of his story there are a lot of snippets that come out of it. I'm one of those who think that we shouldn't throw away the baby with the backwater, so we can take some things out of history. Because I think that some of the things that he said do not exactly gel. And one of the things that I don't agree with him is he cannot tell me that he can't be commander-in-chief and somebody else is pulling the strings behind. That is not, what are you a commander-in-chief for? If somebody else will be pulling the strings and deciding what happens in your own government. That is, by the way, anyway, the fact of that it was not an Igbo coup in 1966, I think that's a fact that everyone knew. All that happened was that people who wanted to look for an opportunity to deride the Igbo nation, to find fault with the Igbo nation, simply turned everything around. And the story has always been there. If you read his book, he said it. This is why we struck. And he said clearly there, we all came together in the national interest in order to make Obafemi Awolowo president. He said it clearly. And everyone knows. But throughout the history of Nigeria, there has always been the fact that every little thing that concerns the country, they use the Igbo head to want to solve the break the coconut of Nigeria. That's all that happens. So all the pogroms that happened from the 1950s to the 60s, at any time that there's any little thing, they say, where are the Igbos? So that you will kill them and blame them. So the fact that Babangida now says, oh, it wasn't an Igbo, is a fact that we know, and it's a fact that we accept. What it will do for us is simple. Anytime anybody shows up with that type of narrative anymore, we will tell him that, well, go back to all the sources, including Babangida's book. You will see that what you're saying is correct. So that is one prop against the Igbos that has now been removed. But we're still waiting for that book by General Gowon, because he was a dramatist personnel and a person that was part of making sure that all the, like Babangida said, the missteps and the mistakes that were done at that time. So we need to hear his story. It's always good for these stories to come out, because we are in a period where we need national catharsis, a way of exhaling, let's say, and ventilating all our business, so that we can build a more perfect union. If we don't have that, then we will always continue to form as we. I don't know how you will see somebody. I don't feel 70. I actually feel like I'm 40. Actually. But let me just say this. God has been kind. I came to this press interview with my elder brother. He's here with me. He used to be in Lebanon and then later was in Canada. When he lived in Canada, for us to reach him on the phone, we would go to Nitel in Abia, and they will try until they connect with him. And then this was in the 70s. Then I will have to. We will now have to sit, the whole family, and we will talk one after the other. They will give us time. When we finish, say, your time is over, then we will leave. And there's a long line of people outside who are this. But now, after these intervening years, my grandchild that is in the United States, I can now talk to him, or it's a question of calling them, and then the father will put him on video phone and we will chat. So you can see that there has been a transition almost from the Middle Ages into the I will say the supersonic and electronic age now. So being 70 means that I have seen Nigeria when it was actually a medieval society, when it was mostly bicycles and all that. And then when we were kids, if we see an aeroplane, we will come out and be waving and shouting at the aeroplane. But look at where we are today. Now we can hop to an airport, hop in and out of this same thing that as a kid. And then, of course, kids of today, when you tell them, they don't know what it means. As far as they're concerned, from the time they were kids, they had already started boarding aircrafts and doing all that. So we have gone through epochs. I've also lived through, at the time that there was the civilian regime, I never knew anything about it except the fact that I ate rice on Independence Day. And that I was in the secondary school in 1967 when the war started, and then they now asked all of us to leave. And that was in my first year in the secondary school. And then we have lived through there and lived through a long period of the military, different aspects. up to this time that we have been part of the experiment in democracy, of which I've been part of from 1999. So I can see that I'm actually very fulfilled. The only thing I regret is that growing up, we expected that Nigeria would be much, much better than it is today. And what we're seeing today is, it looks like we are simply regressing rather than progressing. So we have all the gadgets with us, we have all the cell phones, we have every other thing, but our quality of life is very, very low. And that's why you see Nigerians are all trying to run out from this country, because the opportunities and everything that is made for this thing is not here. And of course, part of the reason is also the fact that we have sacrificed merit for parochial considerations and ethnic considerations and right now nepotistic consideration. That is all that has kept us where we are. And except we decry that, Nigeria will never make a move forward. We must go beyond a society that is based on ethnic considerations to a society that is merit-based. Just like you said earlier, I have a book which I'm going to also present on my birthday on the 1st. That book, we titled it Unbundled. All that the book does, we did a collection of all our interviews, our speeches and all that. And inside that book, I will recommend it to each one of you. Look for a particular speech which I did to the Institute of Surveyors, and that speech was titled, Why Not Merit? It's a great speech, even if I say so myself, because we looked at what is it that is making this country it doesn't seem to move forward. Why do students from the Southeast look on themselves as deprived? Why does someone who finished from the university at the same time with another person and is much better, and nobody, they won't even invite him for an interview, not to talk of whether he's being considered? So it is all this gamut of things around us that is making the country not go in the direction it's supposed to go. Well, that's a question that we're going to pose to the president of Nigeria, not to me. We have made representations concerning Nnamdi Kanu. We have also made sure that we have reached every aspect of the reachable, let me just put it that way. At a particular time, they said, oh, it has to be a national security issue. So we went and met the national security advisor, and they said, oh, it's a legal issue. We went and met the attorney general. They say, oh, he said this. And so at the point now, matter is so simple. If a judge recuses herself from a case, what the import of that recusal is that the judge is saying, because the person that is supposed to try me, you understand, no longer has a what do you mean? No longer has confidence, and I know that there is an element of bias from the person that I'm trying. So I no longer feel that the person will trust that my judgment will be fair. That is just the basis of a court to recuse itself from a case. So the point is, why would you insist that that same judge continue to try someone? So Nnamdi Kanu was right to say, no, you cannot do this. If a judge has said, no, I will not do it, give it to somebody else. It is the Federal High Court with more than 100 judges. You can try it anywhere. You can also come back to the Southeast where you claim that the matter originated from. Because it was supposed to be originated from Umuahia. There's a federal high court in Umuahia. You can try it there. It doesn't necessarily mean that one particular person must try it. So our conclusion is that this matter will have to be resolved politically. And to be resolved politically, we all have to meet up with the authorities in Nigeria and tell them every criminal in the Southeast has put a hook on the Biafra question and using it to perpetrate criminality. Every kidnapper, if you catch them, they say, oh, it's because they are holding Nnamdi Kanu. Those who continue to say, oh, don't come out on Mondays and others, say, oh, it's because of Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu himself has told us, has written it, and said, don't do sit at home anymore. Don't do all those things on my behalf. Yet, the people who want to perpetrate this mayhem on the Southeast continue to use it. So we think that if you remove that prop on which they are hooking all their criminal tendencies on, then they will have nothing else. Then you can now know a criminal from a so-called Biafran agitator. That is just the point. Right now, the Southeast is bedeviled in so many ways. And those of us who are the leaders of the Southeast, there is no single one of us that is not worried about it and that has not made any representation to that effect. So I will also use this opportunity on this my 70th birthday to appeal to the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu. There are too many groups, too many people, including governors, who have said, release him to us. Let us now take the next step. The next step is to bring peace to the Southeast. Because right now, the economy of the Southeast has tanked. So many things are not going on. People have had to readjust their lives to not working on Mondays. And that is a massive devaluing of the currency in our society. So nothing else we can say at this point than to continue to appeal to the federal government to do that. No, if I say that, then it will make me I'm not that important. I'm just saying, for the sake of the people of the Southeast, I will use this occasion of my birthday to also continue the appeal for Nnamdi Kanu to be released. Not for them to do anything to celebrate that way. Let me say this. It's not just because I have a good interpersonal relationship with him. You can visibly see what he's doing. Look, this is Abba. When we went to Okwa, we came back and then we were running through Abba yesterday. It was amazing. It was clean. The place is very well kept. And you can now drive from Ngwa Road and just go all the way down and you find yourself at Obo Hill. Never happened before. So when I see all the things that are happening around here, the only thing I can tell him is, please continue what you are doing. Because I've also, my constituents talk to me. My constituents come and tell me, this is, in fact, all that they do now is that every day they will send me one message. This is happening in this place. Can you tell the governor for him to help us, So I'm even sorry for him because he has already set the pace. He can't slacken anymore. Because you know what happens when you set the pace? what happens whenever you start doing so well is that people expect you to do far more, and if you slack, and then they say, he's no longer doing anything. So we will just encourage him. He's doing extremely well for Abians. I will only say this. The welfare of the people is why you were sworn into office. And if you put the welfare of the people first, which is what you took an oath of office for, then you're doing what you have sworn to do. Part of the problems in Nigeria is not people take oath of office and go away and just don't do what they are supposed to do. The Constitution is very clear. It has the areas where it says, which is the fundamental objectives of state policy. It's all there in the Constitution. The rights that Nigerians have is also there in the Constitution. So just go ahead and do those things. Sometimes people make governance look at it as if it's rocket science. I do not think so. I think it's simply pure, focused leadership. Just provide that focus and let every other thing work for itself. And of course, ensure that your subordinates key into the same vision that you have, so that as you're doing, they are also going along with you.
Distinguished Senator, after the Civil War in 1970,
well, let's just put it this way, and I've said it severally, and I will use the opportunity to tell Igbo, onye ajụrụ ajụ na-ajụ onwe ya. And we must continue to have this at the back of our mind. At a particular time that I was invited to chair an occasion by Aki Ikenga in Lagos, all I told everyone there was that, yes, Nigeria may be holding us down in our opinion, but my opinion is simple. Onye ji mmadụ n'ala ji onwe ya. If you're holding somebody down, you're also holding yourself. But I read an article a short while ago. It was an article by Professor Obianwa, and he was telling a story of what happened in the 70s, where he said that the abandoned property issue and all those things were agitating the IGBOS immediately after the Civil War. And somebody advised them that they should go and sue the federal government. And they felt that, that the best person to sue the federal government for them was Chief Obafemi Awolowo's chambers. So that they went to him and he said, okay, go and pay 10 million pounds into my account and let me take up the case for you. And they asked themselves, we're only giving 20 pounds, all of us. So where do we get 10 million pounds to now pay for a litigation? So if we have 10 million pounds, what are we going to be waiting for? And so they decided right there to go back and rebuild their land. And that is how the Southeast was rebuilt, by people rolling up their sleeves and then doing work. And by 1979, 9 years after the Civil War, an Igbo was already a vice president of Nigeria. So that is what I recommend that we do now. Ignore these people. Use your own resources. Do for yourself what will make Igbo land the El Dorado of Nigeria. That's all we need to do. We don't need to continue looking up and waiting for people who will find reason not to do it. I think we have cried enough. I think we have shouted enough. In fact, the other day, someone was asking me, why is it that you no longer agitate so much on the floor of the Senate? I said, yes, I've done enough agitation. Now it's time for me to change course. Because Nandi Bosina, Amucharia, Amari, in the way that things have shifted. You also put shade on yourself. Now that we know that all our shouting and all our screaming and all our dissing is not going to yield any fruit. That even when we started this matter of Development Commission, it was the Southeasterners. We started it in the 8th Senate and continues fighting it. But you know what happened? The Northeast got it before us. Even though we got everything done, from the time of President from the time of President Buhari, that was when we got everything. They never signed it, refused to do it until this time. And of course, by the time we are now come this time, everybody now has a development commission. So, if you know that you are under that kind of condition, then you also change your tactics. So I can only tell us as in Igbo, let us work for our land. Nobody is holding our allocations away from us. Nobody stops it. It's there. Let the governors use the allocations for us.